Welcome back. Today we have some more builds to look at that were shared to me by some great commenters and community members to see if we can find the best builds for my honour run. We have 4 individual builds that were suggested that I'm going to throw together as a team, so that does mean the item selection will be limited to what the others are not using. First up we have the Tavern Brawler throw build suggested by Chen Gong, with the variation suggested by Arpon to make it have elemental lightning damage. These suggestions don't provide an exact build, so I took a bit of time to research and find the best combination of builds and items. Starting with a dwarf, due to one of the best free throwing weapons gaining extra damage when used by a dwarf. Putting 9 points into Barbarian with the subclass Berserker for enraged throw, and 3 points into Rogue with the subclass Thief for an extra bonus attack. Starting at level 1 with your dwarf, you're going to take Barbarian first. This comes with the action Rage, which actually increases the damage of your throwing. When it comes to points, you're going to be wanting 17 on the strength, 14 on the dexterity, 16 on constitution. For intelligence, wisdom and charisma, it doesn't matter too much. It's more about what you want the better saving throws to be on. At level 2, we'll be taking Barbarian again. This comes with Danger Sense and Reckless Attack, but nothing you need to select yourself. At level 3, you'll want to select Barbarian again. This has the subclass Berserker, which has the most boosts to throwers. It comes with Frenzy, which activates Rage for extra damage, and also activates the subclass action Enrage Throw. Level 4 is where you'll make your next selection in the form of a feat. This is a simple choice of Tavern Brawler, for an extra point into strength and doubling the damage when throwing something. Barbarian level 5 is pretty straightforward. You get an extra attack and some more movement speed. Level 6 gets you an extra rage charge and minus rage, which protects you from being charmed, frightened and calm emotions whilst you're enraged. Level 7 into Barbarian again gets you Feral Instinct, giving you +3 to initiative and you can't be surprised. Level 8 Barbarian gets you a new feat. You'll want to choose Ability Improvement to bring your strength up to 20. And level 9 will bring you Brutal Critical, giving you an extra damage die when landing a critical hit. At level 10 we can multi-class into Rogue and you can select some skills. I chose expertise in athletics and one of each in sleight of hand, as this seemed to fit the type of character best, but if you want something else it won't interfere with the build. At level 11, your second level into Rogue, you gain Cunning Actions, which can definitely help with some mobility during a fight. And at level 12, select Thief to gain the additional bonus action. When it comes to gear for the throw barb, I'm looking to integrate some lightning damage into this build, and since I didn't do it through levels, I need to add this in with items. First, the Circlet of Hunting. This gets you Hunter's Eye, an extra D4 on attack rolls when the target is marked with Hunter's Mark, True Strike, Fairy Fire or Guiding Bolt. It is found in Act 2, sold by Araja, on the main floor of Moonrise Towers. The Bone Spike Garb is a clothing that gains you 15 temporary hit points whenever you're raged and reduces all incoming damage by 2. Purchased from the Dragonborn trader at Rivington General during Act 3. The Cloak of Protection gives you a straight +1 to armor class and +1 to saving throw. In Act 2, you can purchase it from the Quartermaster Tally at the Last Light Inn. Next, the Gloves of Uninhibited Kashigo. This one is a very important item for this build, as it gives you an additional D4 damage with your throw attacks. In Act 1, Dereth Bonecloak in the Myconid colony gives it as a quest reward for saving her husband. The Water Sparker's boots make it that when the wearer stands in water during combat, it becomes electrified, with the addition of if the wearer starts their turn on an electrified surface, they gain 3 lightning charges, which will come into play later. found in a gilded chest in Minthara's area of the Shattered Sanctum in Act 1. The Amulet of Greater Health. This sets the wearer's constitution to 23. So after you get this item, you can respec and spread out the points in other stats for better saving rolls. Stolen from a trapped pedestal in the archive of the House of Hope in Act 3. The Ring of Flinging is another key item, giving the wearer 1d4 bonus to throw damage. This is found early in Act 1, sold by Aaron in the Druid Grove. The Caustic Band makes it so your weapon attacks also deal 2 acid damage. This can also be found with Dereth Bonecloak in the Underdark for sale. The Real Sparky Sparks Wall is a shield that has the action Lightning Aura, that takes 3 lightning charges to use. It creates an aura around the character for 3 turns and does 1d6 lightning damage, plus jolts enemies inside for 1d4 lightning damage and removes their abilities to use reactions, so you can reposition freely. Obtained from a locked and trapped chest in Grimforge Act 1. The Hellrider Longbow, just from having this equipped, gains you a +3 bonus to initiative rolls and advantage on perception checks. Plus, once per turn, a creature hit by this weapon will possibly be afflicted with Fairy Fire, activating the Hunter's Eye. In Act 3, this is sold by Ferg Droger in Rivington. When it comes to weapon choices, you have the Lightning Jabber. It is a weapon that you will need to recover and re-equip, but it does deal an extra 1d4 lightning damage when thrown. Looted from the Cursed Chief in the ambush northeast of the Grand Mausoleum entrance. Next, the Returning Pike. This is the first main weapon for this build, as it returns to you when thrown without the need to multi-class into a paladin. It can be brought from Grat the Trader in the Goblin Camp in Act 1. The Dwarven Thrower is your main weapon to focus down individual enemies with the most damage for this build, as you will see, and also returns to you. Also sold by Ferg Droger in Rivington. Nirona can also be used as it returns to you and is great for crowds of enemies due to its 1d6 thunder damage to anyone in the area around the target. To get this, you will need to win the jackpot from a cabbie found in the Circus of the Last Days in Rivington. Having all 4 weapons in the end will be good, as you can choose which one to use each throw, and there is sometimes glitches with returning weapons not returning. Next up, we have Oak and Ivy's suggestion of a mixed magic user that can get infinite sorcery points with elixirs and a method with a shield that's somewhat of a grey area of an exploit. This build suggestion comes with points, so I'm going to stick with them and see how powerful I can make it, with 2 points into Tempest Cleric, 9 into Storm Sorcerer, and 1 into Wizard. To start this build, I noticed the single point into Wizard. To get the most out of this, you first need to respec fully into a Wizard to be able to learn all the scrolls you want to without restriction. By learning the scrolls on this character, they will stay with them, and that single point into Wizardry will do the trick into unlocking all these spells on your character. Scrolls you will want to focus on are non-attack roll spells, such as Summons, Utility and Defense, as we will have a lot of points to put into Sorcerer, which uses Charisma, and so the intelligence needed for wizard attack spells won't be as high. But you can get things such as high level summoning spells, which will use high spell slots and work just as well, as they don't use the intelligence modifier. But you can learn anything you might want to use. You may have to respec as a wizard more than once if you want to learn all the scrolls, as you can't learn spells you already know. You can check which spells you can learn from scrolls before leveling to make sure you don't select them. For the leveling part of this build, start with Sorcerer at level 1. Starting with this will mean you'll be using Constitution for your saving throws, as well as your primary ability Charisma. Starting with Cleric would mean that you'll be using Wisdom and Charisma. Having Constitution as your saving throw means the more HP you have, the better your saves will get. The character points goes like this: 10 Strength, 8 Dex, 15 Constitution, 14 Intelligence, 10 wisdom and 17 charisma. Make sure to take Chromatic Orb, because this is a strong spell to use with your meta magic you will learn later, and comes with the lightning damage option. Level 2, we will switch to Cleric. Tempest Domain, this will get you the proficiency in heavy armour. Grab some defensive cantrips, and I selected Mistra, because Gale. Then, one more point into Cleric at level 3, for the Channel Divinity, to maximise damage with thunder and lightning attacks. At level 4 we will grab our one and only level in Wizardry. Select from the cantrips you don't have yet, and make sure you do the same with spells. I tend to pick spells such as Summon, Defense and Mobility spells, as a wizard's intelligence modifier won't be as high. Things like Find Familiar, Shield, Feather Falling, Enhanced Leap, Long Strider and Expeditious Retreat. From level 5 onwards, we'll be back to Sorcerer for the extra Storm abilities. The second Sorcerer level comes with Meta Magic, which costs sorcery points, which we will have plenty of. Take Twin Spell to double up on attacks, and I take Distance Spell to make sure I don't miss out on important attacks because I'm just a little bit too far away. Level 6 is where you can get the Quicken Spell Meta Magic, costing 3 sorcery points, but means you can attack again with your bonus action. For spells, I'm looking to get strong attack spells more than anything else. At level 7, grab another attack spell, and for the feat, an obvious choice of 2 more points into charisma. Level 8 should be your 5th sorcery level. I highly suggest Lightning Bolt for synergy with Tempest and Storm attributes. Level 9 you get Heart of the Storm with resistance, along with the spell Cool Lightning. For the spell selection, I grab Counterspell, as it's an extremely useful defense against magical attacks. Level 10, I pick up Blight as a pretty strong attack. Level 11, I would take Wall of Fire if I didn't already know it, but I haven't learned Haste as a wizard spell yet, so I took that. For the feat, I max out my charisma to 20 and 1 more into constitution to make it an even 16. At level 12, I grabbed Cone of Cold for my last high level damage spell. The spell selections might differ on your character, it all depends on what you have learnt through scrolls. Oak suggested using Angelic Repose elixirs to gain large amounts of sorcery points, but since I'm already endgame, I can use the Shield of Devotion or the Shield of the Undevout to get an infinite amount of sorcery points by converting my level 1 spell slot into sorcery points and then removing and adding the shield to gain back 1 level 1 spell slot. With all these sorcery points, you can use Twin Meta Magic on high spell slot attacks and then Quicken Spell for a bonus attack without worrying about the cost, and then replenish the spell slots up to level 5 without needing to stop for long rests. Best gear I found for this build would be the Dark Justiciar helmet, which gives a +1 bonus to saving throws against spells, +1 to constitution saving throws, and while obscured, the number you will need to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1. It is in Act 2, found inside a gilded chest in the Gauntlet of Shar at the back of the secret room in the library. The Derivation Cloak makes it so you heal yourself for 1d4 hit points when you poison a foe. In Act 2, it can be looted from the heavy chest in Balthazar's chamber in the first floor of Moonwise Towers. Adamantite Splint Armour has an AC of 18 and makes it so all incoming damage is reduced by 2, no critical hits, and melee attackers are sent reeling for 3 turns. This strong armour comes out of Act 1, it can be forged in the Adamantite Forge. Gemini Gloves gives the user the ability to cast cantrips that can target foes or allies twice. In Act 3, they can be brought from Hellsick in Devil's Fee in the lower city. Space Hunt Boots gives you a dimensional door once per long rest without the need to use up a spell slot. They can be looted from Dolor the Assassin, found in the Wine Festival in the lower city of Baldurs Gate. The Necklace of Elemental Augmentation adds your spellcasting modifier to the damage of cantrips dealing acid, cold, fire, lightning or thunder. It is inside the display case in the Inquisitor's Chamber at Kresh Yelek. The Whispering Promise is a ring that grants a bonus to attack rolls and saving throws to creatures healed by the wearer for 2 turns. It is sold by Volo in all 3 acts and Grat the Trader in the Goblin Camp. The Ring of Free Action allows you to ignore the effects of difficult terrain and cannot be paralysed or restrained. Found in Act 2, sold by Araja in Moonrise Towers. Marco Heshgir is the weapon of choice. You gain a +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell save attack rolls. Can choose to cast 1 spell per long rest without using up a spell slot. And Koreska's Favour lets you unlock resistance and spells associated with an element. Bolts of Doom can be nice to pick up any other lightning spells you might have missed and extra resistance, since the Tempest Cleric and Storm Sorcerer come with bonus to lightning attacks, but you can pick a different one depending on the situation. It is located in the Globe of Invulnerability in Ramaziv's Tower, accessed through the Sorcerer's Sundries during Act 3. Shield of Devotion, or Shield of the Undevout, grants you 1 additional ready to use level 1 spell slot, even if you have no spell slots left. The Shield of Devotion is brought from Quartermaster Tally at the Last Light Inn, and the Shield of the Undevout is looted from the undead guardian called That Which Guards in the Murder Tribunal. And finally, adding on the Darkfire Shortbow, adding resistance to fire and cold damage. It is sold by Damon at the Last Light Inn stables. Third, we have one that was suggested by 3 different commenters in different methods, but essentially it's using Sanctuary and Moonbeam as a combination to deal damage without being able to be hurt. I looked at the 3 different methods and found the most effective way of setting up this build. Start with the Light Cleric for level 1 to gain the Sanctuary spell needed. For the second level, multi-class into Druid. The cantrips don't matter, but with the spells, as you won't be using them to deal any damage attacks, taking healing and utility that don't need concentration are best. Things like Healing Word, Cure Wounds, Enhance Sleep and Long Strider. At level 3, a second level into Druid, going the Circle of Land route to gain more spells and get natural recovery to replenish expended spell slots. A third level into Druid, taking the Circle of Land type Coast for Misty Step and Mirror Image. This is the level you will get the spell Moonbeam. Here is where the main setup is active as suggested by Deathwish Joe. The rest of the points in this build go into Druid. At level 5, take the feat Ability Improvement to take your Wisdom to 19. Then choose Grasslands to get Daylight and Haste at level 6. The land option of Forest at level 8 for 2 summons, Minor Elemental and Grasping Vine, which can be used alongside Sanctuary. Max out your Wisdom with the Ability Improvement feat and add the spare ability point to Dexterity at level 9. At level 10, either take Forest for Mass Cure Wounds or Mountain for the strongest summon of an elemental. Then just accept the last 2 level ups to level 12 as you don't need to make any choices. All you need to do after is adjust your prepared spells. When it comes to gear selected, for the head I took Wapiria's Crown. When healing another, the wearer regains 1d6 hit points, so even if an area of attack damage goes your way, you can heal it while still healing others. Gained in Act 1 as a reward from Zephlor for helping the Tiefling refugees. If the reward is declined, the item can be purchased from Zephlor until the next long rest. Death Stalker Mantle. Once per turn, when you kill an enemy, you shroud yourself in a primeval darkness to become invisible for 2 turns. So if necessary, the character can use one of their powerful spells to finish off an enemy, but breaking Sanctuary, remaining invisible long enough to reset. You can only get this if your Tav is a Dark Urge. It's given to the player by Celeritas Fell. Robe of the Weave. You gain a +1 bonus to spell save DC, and whenever the wearer succeeds a saving throw against a spell, they regain 1d6 points. With a +2 to your armor class. This will be useful only due to area of effect spells that might splash onto you. This is located inside the Globe of Invulnerability in Ramaziv's Tower during Act 3. Reviving Hands. When you heal a creature, it gains the effect of Blade Ward. When you revive a creature, it gains the effect of Death Ward, and comes with the level 3 spell Revivify. Brought from Victor Humbletoes in the Stormshore Tabernacle in the lower cities during Act 3. Vital Conjurate Boots. These grant the wearer 8 temporary hit points when they cast a spell that requires concentration. Brought during Act 1, sold by the Githyanki trader in Kreshielek. Spellcrux Amulet. This replenishes an expended spell slot of any level as a bonus action once per long rest. Looted from the Warden in Moonrise Tower's prison. Shifting Corpus Ring gives you the spells Invisibility and Blur once each per long rest, giving this build even more options to not be hit if Sanctuary is not active. It's dropped by Flaming Fist Marcus in the Last Light Inn. The Coruscation Ring makes it so when the wearer deals spell damage while illuminated by a light source, they also inflict Radiant Orb on the target for 2 turns. Enemies that are affected have -1 to their attack rolls per remaining turn. It also sheds a bright light in the area surrounding it. Found in a trapped heavy chest in the cellar of the Last Light Inn. Saloon's Spear of the Night gains you advantage on wisdom saving throws and perception checks, and comes with the spells Dark Vision, Moonmote, and a spare single-use Moonbeam per long rest that can be cast on the same turn as the regular Moonbeam ends, instead of having to wait an entire turn before you can recast it. It's rewarded for sparing the Night Song during Shadowheart's personal quest. The Sentinel Shield grants you a +3 bonus to initiative rolls and advantage on perception checks. Sold by Lan Tav in Moonrise Towers. The Bow of Awareness gets you another +1 bonus to initiative rolls, all to make sure that you can get your cast of Sanctuary first, or at least early in the lineup of turns. This weapon can be bought from Roa Moonglow in the Shattered Sanctum. You can cast all the summons and conjures. You can create walls of fire and stone and use Moonbeam without breaking Sanctuary, as well as focusing on keeping the team's HP up along with other buffs. Fourth, we have the Drunken Master, suggested by Mike, who wanted to know what I thought the strongest build was of a character that's drunk. There are 3 specific items that give good boost to someone who has had alcohol, so I'll be using them, but everything else is just what I thought would make this character the strongest. Taking a Wood Elf for their Dark Vision, Magic Can't Put You to Sleep, and high mobility. I start with a Fighter, taking the Fighting Style Great Weapon. With 17 Strength, 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 8 Intelligence, 8 Wisdom, 8 Charisma. For skills I take Athletics to defend against being shoved, and Intimidation because I guess this character isn't a very nice drunk. Level 2 brings you Action Surge. Level 3 you will need to select a subclass, take Champion for improved critical hit. Level 4 gives us a feat, and as we will be using a great weapon, we will definitely be going for Great Weapon Master. Level 5 gives us an extra attack, expanding the damage you can dish out per turn. Level 6 you get another feat, where you can bring your strength up to 19 with ability improvement. Level 7 adds half your proficiency bonus to your stealth checks. Level 8 will be another feat, selecting Athlete, maxing out your strength and making it easier to get up from prone and jump 50% further. Level 9 grants you an extra saving throw if you fail. Level 10 comes with another fighting style. As you already have great weapon fighting, the only other style that can give you any added benefits is the archery choice, as all other fighting styles require you using a different weapon. Level 11 gets you your third attack, and level 12 adding 2 to Constitution with the last feat. Now let's talk about gear, as this is what makes the build work. First up is Grimskull Helm. Attackers can't land critical hits on the wearer, grants you resistance to fire damage, and you can cast Hunter's Mark once per long rest. This is dropped by Grim in the Adamantine Forge during Act 1. Next is the Flesh Melter Cloak. Whenever a creature deals melee damage to the wearer, the creature takes 1d4 acid damage. In Act 2, it's looted from a gilded chest in the House of Healing Morgue. The Drunken Cloth is the first of 3 items that make a drunk build work. While drunk, you have advantage on Constitution saving throws, and you gain temporary hit points equal to your Constitution modifier at the start of your turn. Purchased from servant in the bar of the Gilded Hall, found in the lowest city sewers. The Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength sets the wearer strength to 23. The enchantment has no effect if their strength score is higher without it. After you have these gloves, you can respec the build, moving the strength points across to maximise Constitution and Dexterity, and with the spare points spread across the other 3 abilities. Also with these gloves, strength saving throws get a +1. Stolen from a pedestal in the archive of the House of Hope. With the Helldust Boots, you cannot be forcibly moved by a foe, spells or actions, and you ignore the effects of difficult terrain. When you fail saving throws, you may use your reactions to succeed instead. And the spell Hellcrawler lets you teleport to an area dealing 2d8 fire damage where you land. The impact blast spreads to 3 meters. Found in a locked gilded chest on the top floor of Worm's Rock Fortress, best to take before the coronation. Next is the second of the 3 drunk items, Amulet of the Drunkard. While wearing it, you regain 2d4 hit points per turn whilst drunk, and it increases the duration of your inebriation by 5 rounds. Brought from Hoot's Hooligan in Sharess's Caress after you accept to taste her new brew. The Sparks Wall. With this ring, the wearer can't be electrocuted, and gives resistance to lightning damage. This is mainly to protect against the other members of the party who use lightning and can all attack from range. This ring can be found in a gilded chest in the Arcane Tower's basement. Ring of Mental Inhibition. When a foe fails a saving throw against one of your spells or actions, they gain mental fatigue for 2 turns. This can be found inside a locked chest in the ruined battlefield of the Shadow Cursed Lands. Punch Drunk Bastard is the 3rd and final drunk item on this list. It's a 2-handed great club. While you are drunk, you have advantage on attack rolls, and you create a blast with each attack dealing 1d4 thunder for 3 meters. It can be looted from a chest in the back storage room of the Waning Moon. The Deadshot. From holding this bow, the number you need to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1. It's sold by Fitz the Firecracker at the Stormshore Armory in the lower city. And finally, Alcohol. You will need this to activate the build, and there is a lot of it out there. Much of it can be scavenged or stolen, but there are locations across the axe where it can be bought from traders as well.